Hi, I'm the Rick and Rick Turns, and today I'm going to rough out a bowl from this log right here. This is the same piece of wood in my last video where I was sealing the end grain. It's been about a week or so since this was cut and sealed. I'm ready to get started on it. I've got a pretty good chunk of maple here. I think it might be red maple. Never saw the leaves of the tree, so I can't really be sure. It is, let's see, 15 inches this way, 17 inches this way. 15 inches, therefore, is my maximum diameter. This is my 14-inch template that I use. This is just plain old hardboard, like 1/8 inch. And that's pretty much the way the circle is going to be that I want. So I'm just going to turn this over. This is going to be a traditional bowl where the top is here, the bottom is here. It is, it's not a natural edge bowl. So I am going to just center this on here and screw it in place. That looks like it's about it. It's got a screw with a washer on it to hold this in place. And I'll just tack this right down. This doesn't need to be real tight, you know. It just has to hold it on there. So the next step is to head over to the bandsaw and cut this circle out. I'm at my bandsaw, ready to do some cutting here. And what I'm going to do with this is, first of all, just lop off each corner. And that just makes it a little easier to handle. Then I'll come back in and cut the circle. So I'm also going to turn on the dust collector now. And that's going to be very noisy. All right. I could stick this on the lathe right here and turn it real slow, but I'm going to go ahead and try to cut out a circle a little bit closer to the template here. All right, we're going to go back to the workbench, take this off, and drill a mounting hole. And this is the piece I just cut. Obviously, you need to remove this. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it's going to be mounted on this side to a chuck. I'm going to mount it on a screw chuck for the initial turning until I get the other side flattened some and get a recess cut. So I need to mark the center of this. So I'll go back to here. So I'm just going to mark this, the center point, right there. And what I use for this is a 3/8 inch brad point bit. All right, this goes over to the lathe. My screw center here projects out about 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch, from the tip of these jaws. And of course, when I screw this down, the wood's going to rest against the jaws. I could take the jaws off, but hey, that's way too much trouble. I've never had a problem. This seems to be a sufficient depth and has worked okay for me. So now I'm going to thread this onto here. Okay. Now the headstock is locked. I'm just going to finish tightening it up by turning the log. All right, I think that's good. I will be using the tailstock for the additional support. And let's see, yeah, this side's a little higher, so it's a little heavier. I'll be starting off turning it really slow anyway. Got to make sure the workpiece clears the banjo, and that's good. Now I'll be removing the tailstock later, of course, to get in there, but for the initial turning, when this is out of balance, yeah, that's pretty good. When this is out of balance, I'm going to be turning really slow. I'm going to leave the tailstock in place and really leave it there until I absolutely have to get access to the center. There we go. All right. Going to be roughing this down with a bowl gouge. This is a 5/8 inch bowl gouge. And I've got the RPM turned off at the moment. So I'm going to start this really slow and crank it up until I start to get vibration right there. So back it off a little bit. And now I'm just going to start cutting away at it until I finally get it in balance. And this is definitely slow. If I can get it any faster. No, not much. Wood is really fresh, I can tell, because it keeps spitting at me, knocking off little pieces of little drops of water as I turn it. Alright, that's good enough, because I'll be taking the bowl down more later after it dries out. It's mostly removed. That's a nice colorful strip there, so got to get rid of a lot of that. Clear wood in here. I'm going to flatten this, and then I'm going to cut a recess for my chuck. I want this to be flat, and that looks okay. And I'm going to cut just a tiny dimple right there at the center of rotation. And that's to hold my little marking gauge. Now that's going to be my recess. All right, that's about a 1/4 inch deep. And I'm going to cut that a little deeper, and a tiny bit wider. You recall I said this is really green wood. It's going to shrink a lot. I'm going to cut this probably a 1/2 inch deep around that, because I know after it shrinks, I put it back on here, I bring it into round, and I Bring this end around. I'm going to lose some of the depth of that. And I'd rather cut it down now. Now for my chuck, I need to have a dovetail pointing like that. This was a 1/2-inch skew chisel that I have repurposed into a little dovetail recess cutter as a scraper. All right, good. Now let's see. So remember, this is the rough turning of the bowl. I don't need to do much fine cutting out here. It's all pretty rough. I want to get the shape down so I can see what it's going to look like. And it's looking pretty good. So at this point, satisfied with the outside shape, I'm going to take it out, remount it, and then I'll hollow it out. Now I want to unscrew it off of the wood screw. So I'm going to hold the, if I just start pulling on this, the chuck's going to come loose. So I'm going to hold the chuck in place there, I hope. Yeah, good. And unscrew it just like this. And that worked nicely. Obviously this has got to come out of the way. Crank this back down. And pray that I got this big enough. Yep. And spread the jaws, and I just want to check and make sure we've got good contact all the way around, that it looks even. Yes, gonna turn the speed down. Alright, that's pretty good. So I want the tool to start hitting the wood right along the center line. So I've got this set a little bit low. That's just about right, maybe a little lower. Handy. And tighten that down. Still a little bit uneven on the top. Now the hollowing begins. For this diameter bowl, I wouldn't go more than 1,000 RPM, but right now I'm only about 550. That's going to be it until I can get it all the way in balance. Yeah, I'm going to leave this hopefully about 1.25 inches thick at the sides and the base. So I'm getting close to that on the outside, and got to take off some more on the interior. And I'm going to switch over to a scraper at the moment. Scraper on green wood cuts really easy. Take this out for a moment. I need to start checking the depth. All right, got maybe an inch to go, I think. Check the depth again. All right. I think that's about deep enough. I'm going to even it up here. But as close as I can, I want 1 1/4 inches on sides and bottom. Let's see, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's about an inch thickness right there. 2, 3, 4. It's about an inch and an eighth right there. Right up here, it's about an inch and a quarter right there. I'm going to take a little more out of the inside of that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 1 1/8, a little over an inch, about 1 1/8. It's good enough. Still some chipping right around there, not a big deal. It's got a good bit of drying to do, and when it does dry, right through here and right through here is going to pop up a little bit, or perhaps more accurately, the rest of it's going to shrink down some. And it's going to shrink across this way as well. So I'm going to take it off the lathe now and get it ready for drying. To get this ready to go in the drying box, I'm going to seal the end grain. So I'm using my standard end grain sealer, which as you can see is Cool Whip. Just kidding. Elmer's glue. All right, there's that end grain. Oh, this is a postal scale. So I'm just going to put this on here. And it's 6 pounds, 2.9 ounces. So today is the 17th. And the weight here is 6 pounds, 2.9 ounces. The reason I do that is because as I dry it out in my drying box, I'll weigh it every day. When the daily weight loss gets down to about 3/10 of an ounce, that's when I declare that it's done and dry enough, and that's just based on experimentation over the years. So this one's ready for the drying box. Let's go over there. This is my drying box, fairly good size. As you can see, I've got a bowl in there. That one's actually not drying. That's a walnut bowl that I've been doing some finishing on, but the drying box is fairly dust resistant. On the input port, which is down on this side, I've got a big filter on it that hopefully is going to catch most of the dust. Okay, also in the box, we've got a fan, which I just switched on. You can't actually see it. It's right down there to the right of the light bulb, which is right there. So I'm going to turn off the light bulb and the fan for a moment. So this is my bow, 6 pounds, 2.9 ounces. Going in the box, and I'm guessing it'll probably take a week, maybe a week and a half to dry that out. It dries out fairly slow. Obviously, I want it to dry out slow because if it dries out fast, it's liable to split. On the other hand, if it's too slow, I might as well just put it in a paper bag and forget about it for 3 months. I don't like waiting 3 months for a bulb blank. So I'm going to switch on the light, and I'm going to switch on the fan. The light just raises the temperature in there maybe 5 degrees. It's about a 75 watt incandescent bulb. All right, that's my roughed out bow. And when it gets dry, I'll be making a video of the finish turning on it. So, stay tuned. See you next video.